Hello, everyone, and welcome along to another episode of the TurfCast podcast pre-game show, of course, with me, Joe Redmond, and this time we're joined by the lads from the Matchday Vlogs account, who, of course, they're both Southampton fans. How you doing, lads? You all right?
Yeah, mate, all is good, all is good. Bit too early for me still, but still good.
It's still in the AM. No, we're all good, thanks. I was impressed by your menacing intro music. That was intense.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Like, I can't take any credit for it. It's done by a guy called Bacchus. He's like an it's not R&B. What's it called? Graham. That's what it's called these days, isn't it? It's like a Graham artist, and he did it, and that's obviously the music, and it's a song about Ashley Barnes. So Burnley fans love it. It went mental when he brought it out. So I messaged him. I'm like, mate, can I actually like borrow that from a podcast and things like that? That'd be absolutely epic. But yeah, I did see you dancing along to it actually. So it was There
was like, this is menacing, but also I'm digging the vibe. I'm like, he's about to ask me some bad questions, but
yeah, I'm pumped. But now I know it's a Burnley chant. I'm a little bit like, I should feel bad. I was pumped.
It's not so much a chant. It's just a song that was on Spotify. We don't all sit there going Ashley Barnes, which was probably actually pretty good, to be fair. But morning, there's some lads that are usually in the chat. Morning, Kieran. Hope you're well, pal. Good to see you, mate. Joey Shilling's here as well. Good to see you, mate. I believe a congratulations is in order, Joey. I believe I saw something on Facebook about a birth of a child. So congratulations. It might have been an April Fool's. I don't know. I've kind of thrown myself on the bus here potentially. So congratulations, Joey. And Andrea Wilkinson simply says, come on, Burnley. As the thing says at the bottom, this show is, of course, live. Some shows we do that are live. Some shows we do aren't. This one is. So feel free to get your questions in for the lads. So then I don't have to think of any. But just remind me of your names, boys. It's Mike and Jack.
Yes, it
That's
is.
right.
Yeah, and which one's which?
I think you're Mike and I'm Jack, right?
That's last time I remember.
Mike, I'm Jack. Cool.
Yeah,
last time we did the show.
The problem is, I've turned the little name tags on StreamYard that come up. I turn them off because I don't like the look of them. Basically, I just think the font's a bit ugly and stuff. So but when it comes to like when I'm on with 3 or 4 people, I'm like, I don't know anybody's name. So yeah,
I feel I should write my name on the wall and maybe put a sticker up. So like,
that would help, mate. That would help. That would help.
In a font of your choosing.
Yeah, anything but Comic Sans, really.
Okay.
No, I'm joking.
Helvetica, got you.
Yeah, yeah. Wingdings. Don't know if you remember Wingdings.
Yeah,
that were back in there. Anyway, enough about fonts and serifs and sans serifs. Let's move on to some actual football chat. Of course, Southampton, very good start to the season. Absolutely abysmal pretty much since then. Talk to me about your season then, because from the outside looking in, it's pretty much that. You started off really, really well. You were top of the league at one point, if I remember rightly, and since then you've fallen off an absolute cliff. So what's happened?
Yeah. Do you want me to go first, Jack?
Yeah, man, you go for it. I still have to calm down after he said it.
I'll leave you some meaty stuff, don't worry. No, our season's been absolutely mad, really. I mean, it's our first 2 games of the season. I kid you not, most of the fan base were hitting the panic button. I think we lost to Crystal Palace on the opening game, and then it was a big loss to Tottenham with a League Cup exit on the first round to Brentford, I think it was. And literally the whole fan base were going nuts, like, oh my goodness, it's a terrible start to the season again. And then we went on this mad run where we basically just didn't really lose. You know, we had a draw away at Chelsea, and then we picked up some convincing wins as well. And, you know, everything looked fantastic. And, you know, come November, we beat Newcastle at home and we're top of the league. And it's, you know, we're all hitting the stop the count button, you know, let's end the season now. But literally since, the beginning of the year, really, it's all gone a bit wrong. And we've kind of blamed it on injuries. We have had a lot of injuries. There's been a lot of absent players out, absent players in key positions. You know, we had, Theo Walcott has been out for a long spell. But the ones that really made a difference were the likes of Kyle Walker-Peters and Danny Ings. So, you know, when both those players aren't in the squads, you know, we hit problems. And the big problem for Southampton is we don't have backups for our right or left back position. So if either of those 2 players are injured, we have makeshift players go in there, and, you know, you have wingers playing in that position. So that is really kind of been the crux of it. It's kind of sort of knocked us off kilter, really. And we've seen that, and we had some horrifying losses in 2021.
We will. I do intend on asking about.
That's fine. Losses, we're ready. Don't worry.
Don't worry. I can leave the media questions, as we said, to other people if necessary.
No, it's fine. But and really, we've seen some pretty poor performances as well. One sort of which that have made us thinking, because the fan base are firmly behind Hasenhüttl. And that's always been the case, even after those extremely heavy defeats. But there has been a few signs of late where we thought, like, is there a plan B? Is it only plan A? And which has left us with some big questions. Some losses that shouldn't have been losses. The game's there to be won, which has been hugely frustrating. But it feels, now that we're coming back a little bit, we had the win away at Sheffield United, which doesn't really say much, really, but and a decent run in the cup, which has kept the mood of the fan base up a bit. The fact that we're into the semi-finals of the FA Cup, so that has been good. But there's still a lot of bad, and I think it's really a case of tactical methods of Hasenhüttl that are perhaps the only question on the minds of Saints fans at the moment. But yeah, as you say, definitely up and down. I'm not sure what I've left you with there, Jack, but
I just enjoyed it. Yeah, there's nice hearing what's going on with my club. It's good. This is what it's like watching the channel. This is cool. Mike's right. It's beginning of the season, we had this huge, coal of players. We had so many big wages on the books that we just needed to cut through a lot, and now we got over halfway through the season, we realized what a stupid idea that was, because everyone's so injury prone, and we've had so many big knocks to the squad, and we, like Mike says, we don't have two fullbacks. We had two backup fullbacks, but we let them out on loan in January. It was a decision that we all went, oh no, what's going to happen here? And then we've ended up playing all these weird, dodgy formations, bodging people into shape. And those games have been terrible. Mike, like I said, the Sheffield game was the first game where really we had a full squad back, and it was like a weight off our backs. It was like, oh my God, we've won. We look good, brilliant. A couple of hard games after. Then we played Brighton, and with pretty much a full squad, and we were terrible. And it was the first time where we had this decent squad, close to decent, fully decent squad on the pitch. And they just looked like they didn't care, and it was so disheartening. And I think that was one of those games where as a fan base we were like, oh no, because there's no excuse for what happened today. We can't blame referees, we can't blame poor VAR decisions, we can't blame substitutions. We have to blame the 11 men that are on the pitch, and Ralph not for kicking them into gear. So this game is kind of the pivot point for us. Hopefully last season, this is where we really kicked on after the last international break, and we really ended the season on a high. I said to Mike on our preview, I'm just kind of gutted it's Burnley that we're playing, because you're a hard team to play against. The way your style of football against ours kind of, nullify each other. It's that whole thing. It's like
even the game at the Turf earlier in the season. Obviously, you won it, but it wasn't a great watch, and it was terrible, to be fair.
Yeah, it was the classic 1-0. You know what I mean? It was whoever scores first is probably going to win this match. It's going to be a tight one. So Burnley's a good game to have, because it's going to it's a 6-point game. It's going to be a lot of fun for us. But I feel like as a style, as a matchup, I'm not looking forward to it, because this game will go either. It can go either way.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that one. Big shout out to Gaz Howarth. He's just sent us 45 stars, so thank you, Gaz. That's 2 weeks in a row. Gaz has sent us some stars, so he's got a little badge next to his name now. So they're the sort of things that Facebook will do for you if you do send us Facebook stars, and that's how you can support TurfCast, by sending us some Facebook stars. So thank you very much for that, Gaz. And of course, because Gaz has sent us 45 Facebook stars. I'll ask Gaz's question now. Obviously, we just mentioned injuries. You mentioned Danny Ings. Them two words go together very, very well. He's been nothing but injured pretty much for the past 4 years. Obviously, a lot of bad luck for him. I think it's 2 different knees and everything. Gaz simply says, I'll put it on the screen as well so everybody else can see no matter what platform you're watching on, because we are, of course, live on Facebook and YouTube. He says, do you think Danny Ings is too injury prone, and do you think City will really be looking into signing him? I can answer the last one. I just think that's probably agent or paper talk personally, but obviously you boys will know more about that and have read more about that than me. But yeah, do you think he's too injury prone?
I think this season is a bit like, if he was last season, it was so good, and he, scoring goals, and he didn't really get any knocked. He was fantastic. It was really looked like, when we signed him, it was, if he can stay injury free, he'd be amazing, and he did. And now this season, it's kind of what we all sort of thought we might get from Danny, a big injury spell, and then it seems to taken a while to get back into the game. That's the only reason I could see City not going for him, is because of the injuries. It was kind of seemed pointless to replace Aguero, this goal machine who gets injured all the time, with a goal machine who gets injured all the time. It doesn't seem like a real illogical move. But at the same time, if he can stay injury free, he's going to do you the business because he's Premier League proven. So it's hard to say, really. It's he's not signed a new contract yet. There's been so many rumors about Danny Ings, but I think the problem with Southampton is any time a player performs, or even
same with Burnley, to be fair.
Yeah, not even overperforms, just performs to a level where suddenly
just consistent.
No, they're going. They're going. Like it's kind of just our lot in life. So as much as it stresses you out to think, Danny might leave, at the same time, I've been here before. This is where, as long as it's not like the mass exodus of like 2017 where we lost Lallana, Lambert, Shaw. We lost like half the squad. Schneiderlin, Alderweireld. They all, obviously he was on loan, but everybody left.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be onto that level. I think. What makes me more worried is just the state of the transfer window right now. I think it's so hard to buy players and get players in because of the pandemic and everything, and the cost of players. That looking at Premier League, Premier League players like Danny Ings, it's going to be a lot easier for those sort of clubs to sign. You look at Nathan Ake sat on the bench for 40 mil. Like, why? They play through the nose for a bench player. So there's no reason City wouldn't do it, but I'm hoping it doesn't happen still.
That is the thing that worries me, though. The fact that they could quite easily pick up Danny Ings very, very cheap. In terms of today's transfer money. The clause in the contract. The reason why the contract's stumbling at the moment is basically because Danny is saying he wants a 20-something million pound release clause in the contract, and the club basically want a 40-something million pound clause in the contract. Which, when you think about it, is ridiculous. Well, it's worth way more than that.
Yeah.
He's an English national player, performing at the top of his game. And I'm sorry, if you can put a price tag on Harry Kane, goodness knows what, then why the heck can't you do that on Danny Ings? But I don't see. I'm kind of on the fence here in regards to whether or not he'll stay at the club. But I think it will be a very easy purchase for Manchester City if they want it to happen. It pains me to say that, but I don't think they're going to have a problem spending 40-something million on a Danny Ings, knowing full well that maybe they're going to buy an injury-prone player. But let's not forget that when he signed for Southampton, we thought, oh great, we spent 20 million on a player that's just going to sit on the bench injured. I mean, that was the general mood of all the fan base, thinking we just bought a sick note here. Why have we done that? And then 6 months later, we're thinking this is the best 20 millions the club has ever spent. So kind of mixed emotions, but I can see it going either way. I mean, I hear what you're saying about agent talk, and there definitely is a lot of that in all of
modern football, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's a tough one. But as Jack rightly said, we've been here before so many times. I mean, the amount of money Liverpool spent on our club, they could have bought the entire stadium for that. So.
Yeah, well, obviously, Danny used to play at Burnley, and that's pretty much what he did here. He just let his contract run out. He was younger at the time, to be fair, so he probably, in the back of his mind, knew that we get a lot of money through a tribunal, which I think we did. I can't remember how much in the end, but obviously it went to a tribunal, and we ended up getting quite a few quid off Liverpool. But he did let his contract run down, so I think as a Southampton fan, you've got to look at that, be a little bit worried. I've just noticed a couple of comments off Lewis, who was saying, "I wish he wasn't back because he always causes problems." Is he back this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's back fit now. I mean, he wasn't great since he came back from his COVID sickness. He sort of looked about a couple of yards off the pace. Didn't look as alert. I mean, the thing that's special about Danny Ings is literally he can turn something. Yeah. He can turn absolutely nothing into something, like just in a turn of pace. So, the goals he scores are very surprising and from acute angles, and that's what makes him so great. And we haven't seen that for quite a while. So who knows? His hamstrings might be fine, but is his fitness fully there? That's the question, really.
And James Ward-Prowse as well. He left the England camp after picking up injury. What's the latest with him? Is he back?
It's questionable, isn't it? I mean, I think that's the only question mark that we've got, Jack. He may play.
The only question marks are from those internationals. Obviously, we've got Taki Minamino as well, who's coming back from Japan. Everything seems to say that he hasn't had the quarantine and come back. So I'm intrigued to see what happens there. But yeah, Ward-Prowse is kind of the only doubt, really. What was it yesterday? I saw the Ralph press conference, and he's played every single game under Ralph. He has not missed a game, and that is so. What's that? Over 100, 110 now? Is it?
Yeah, that's sensational.
It's a lot of football, and he's just a masterclass. And I think that England performance this weekend, and that I don't know if you saw that little video that they did at the England training camp. I think there's been the eyes have sort of turned on Ward-Prowse a little bit more in the past couple of months. I think people are starting to realise what a wicked player is. And if he's not there on the weekend, it's going to be a massive hole in the team because centre mid is where we're very thin. And he's the captain. He's the man that we need on the pitch every game. We need him there.
Yeah, well, it's perfect time to bring in Kieran's question, which just dropped. He says, "Is Ward-Prowse real at international quality?" For me, he's not, but I would like to get the guys' opinions on this. But obviously, you were just saying then that you feel like opinions have turned on him recently, especially over the last few weeks with the England games.
Yeah. It's a funny one because you're right. I think there are players in the England squad that people will probably rate. I think if you ask the general public, people will still probably put James Maddison above him, and But I honestly think he's a better player. He's a squad player. He's the kind of guy that you want in the team because he's going to make the team better. That is what he does. And with an England squad, you always want players that make the team better because you've already got these ridiculous megastars, going forward. So in the middle to have Ward-Prowse next to maybe like if Henderson if he's back fit or something like that, I think he's just vital. And also, who wouldn't want those free kicks?
His set pieces are insane, aren't they?
This is it. I mean, I would say, you put him up against the likes of, he's a very different player to a lot of those England players in the midfield. And, there are a couple of occasions where there's a dead ball opportunity against Poland that you would have said, if Ward-Prowse is on the pitch, there's a good chance these are going in. I mean, when we're watching games and we're seeing a free kick on the edge of the box, I mean, we can effectively say, there's a good chance this is going in, probably more likely than if we were to get a penalty. But I think it's an interesting question. Is he international quality? It just depends how he's played. Because the first few games he played under Southgate, he was played completely in the wrong position. And the players around him were playing in a system that kind of, nullified what he was there to do. So it all depends on the team that's on the pitch. But I don't know. If I'm being super critical, I would say maybe he's got a little bit more to do to be up there with the likes of, pains me to say Mason Mount or someone like that. That's, but again, it's a different sort of role that he plays. So
I think he would be, even if he's a bench player, I think he's better to come off the bench than if you were to have Mount or like if you had Mount, James Maddison, if you had them on the bench. I feel like there's something about them they're not quite a bench player. They're not that sort of squad player. If you had Ward-Prowse to come on to do a job, he will do anything he will try and work that position as best as he can. He's played everywhere for Southampton. Even when he played right back for us, he put Zaha on his pocket. He can do it. He's a really good squad player. I think and England like to take those sort of versatile players to cup to them, so they can do a bit of everything. But yeah, I honestly think I understand that people's trepidations of they might not think Ward-Prowse is right up there yet, but that's because he plays for Southampton.
to be fair, I feel that I get that. I get that vibe with a lot of Burnley players. James Tarkowski, for me, he should be in that England squad. Same with I know they're sort of like your South Coast rivals, but same with Brighton and Lewis Dunk. If they played for anybody else, then they'd be in the England side, and people think of them differently. Even Nick Pope. Nick Pope got a lot of stick this week. Unnecessary stick, in my opinion. We all know his kicking isn't the best, but there's some of the stuff that were being said about him on Twitter, and even by some pundits, was just ridiculous. So I do feel that. Big shout out to Kieran Phillips. We've had another 100 stars sent in. So there you go. Thank you very much, Kieran. I appreciate that, mate. That's 145 stars on this stream. That's enough to get me a coffee tomorrow. So I'll nip down to McDonald's and get a coffee on Kieran and on Gaz as well, because that were absolutely fantastic, mate. Cheers, lads. Chris has asked a question. Sorry, go on, mate.
I was just going to say, Jack, we got to jump on this. I found that we're quite successful on TikTok, and I was told by a young TikToker that I should have set a creator fund. Apparently, we missed out on 10 grand, Jack. Don't want to break that.
Missed out on 10 grand.
When did we miss out on 10 grand?
We've had a few things go viral on TikTok, and I didn't set up the creator account, so that's 1.3 million.
I've had one thing go viral. And it had like 500,000 views, but I've not been able to set up a creator fund on there yet. So I don't think I'll have missed out on 10 grand, but I might have missed out on the potential. But something it had like 550,000 views, and every time I go on it, I don't go on it often. Every time I go on it, it's had like another 2,000 or 3,000. So it's still slowly ticking over.
We should check it out on Facebook and YouTube. We'll get clued up. We'll get there.
This will be my last appearance for a Matchday Vlogs. Till I get what's owed.
Tom Pascoe, he says Mike and Jack and two love art faces, so he's obviously a regular to watching your shows. Sue says, do you think Danny will leave at the end of the season? Sue, we have already asked that question, but don't worry, the lads, the video doesn't go anywhere, so once this live is finished, you can go back and watch it and you can see what they said. And they basically said they're a little bit worried, but they hope he doesn't, kind of thing. Another question I want to ask you, we've had in off Chris P. He says, I've heard that Southampton were interested in Josh Brownhill. Do you think the rumours would be true? There's been quite a few rumours about Josh Brownhill, obviously at Burnley. Southampton's one of them. Villa, another one. I've heard of Villa. I don't know. Again, he's not been at Burnley long as Josh Brownhill, so I can't see us selling him in the first place. But Southampton could be interested. But again, it could just be paper talk and agent talk. What do you guys think? Have you seen anything on this?
This is the first I've heard of it. This is...
I think I've definitely seen that name pop up. I don't know them too well, like you say. I know he's not been at Burnley too long, and it's usually when I see it, it's at the same sort of places that say, we're going after Tammy Abraham. It's like I don't believe any of these, So no, I don't know too much about him. What sort of player is he? If we, what could we come to expect if those rumours are true?
Central midfielder class. The Burnley Bale, we call him on TurfCast. For me, he's our best central midfielder. I feel a bit strongly on that. We've had some debates on the watch-alongs and stuff because a lot of people still say Westy. And I can understand that because Westy's more of a sort of like forward-thinking sort of player, better with the ball at his feet. But Josh Brownhill's sort of like more of a defensive-minded midfielder. Right. He'll drop back, he'll intercept play, he'll break up play. He's one of our best signings over the last few years. There's not much competition, though, to be fair. We don't sign a lot of players, and when we do, it's Dale Stevens. He's fantastic. So I don't want to tout him up too much to you, so then you can get Hassan Hootel on the blower, and like, come on, lad. Ralph, get him signed. But yeah, he fits our squad perfectly. I think he's brilliant. I love him and Westy in the middle. I think it's time that was our favourite two in the middle.
That's interesting because it's one of the areas we are light in. I mean, we're going to be without Oreo Romeo, which is a big loss for us. He's kind of our central defensive midfield player, our classic number 6, who actually plays a number 6 role in the sense that he can, stick in a decent tackle. He's always going to get a yellow card. Literally, on our channel, we have a bit of a betting thing that basically says, when's Romeo going to get his yellow? in terms of the timestamps.
Never gets that second one, does he?
Never gets the second one. But
I think he's got this crazy Premier League record of amount of yellow cards, but not to get the second. Like he's so good at getting yellows.
It's absolutely nuts. But we've got Ibrahima Diallo in that position, and for my mind, he's a bit too. He's great at going forward, but he's a bit light in terms of being able to stick a solid challenge in. So I kind of don't see him as an out and out number 6 as yet. So it'd be an interesting thing that, we're perhaps looking for someone to back up that position. I mean, effectively when Højbjerg left for Tottenham, and the rumours were starting about this time last year, effectively we were a bit worried. And then this Romeo came back, who was a second choice, and he looked even better than he did before. We're thinking Højbjerg who? So, but, it's definitely one that we definitely miss when he's not there. Sort of holds up the play, change the pace of the game, and just sort of calms everything down a bit when things are getting a bit crazy in the middle of the park. So it'd be an interesting one. So it's possible, I guess, given what you've spec'd him out to be.
Fair enough. Fingers crossed it obviously doesn't happen. I can't see him leaving Burnley this summer anyway, especially with the rumours that Pope and Tarkowski will be leaving. If them two leave, that's, we're down anyway. So then if Josh Browner leaves as well, then just might as well pack up and go home. Sue, Josh Bailey, I was going to ask you about Ralph Hasenhüttl. You've touched on it briefly. You've said that the fan base is united behind Ralph. Is there not any sort of like rumblings or been rumblings about him, and what do you two personally think of Ralph? Because obviously there's a manager that's lost 9-0 twice, so I would presume there's been rumblings at some point. You know what I mean? But you said that the fan base is united.
Jack, you want to go first on this?
Yeah, it's United is a bit of a stretch. You go on any fan forum, you're going to get Ralph out. I think more people in our club are more direct at the owners. I think most people can see the bigger picture. Ralph's changed the culture at the club completely from top to bottom, from youth all the way up. So he's so deep in the club now, and the way he does stuff is so up our street as a fan base. The way he wants to set the kids in place to come through. Obviously, that's a big deal for us. A lot of people don't like the fact he doesn't have a plan B. Like it is this, press, high energy, track back. And it wears these players out. Look, in hindsight, foolish to thin out the herd as much as he did, leave the squad as depleted as it is, because now there are the United game where we got absolutely smashed. We had 2 goalkeepers on the bench. That's how thin we were looking. The guy our player that got sent off in the opening 4 minutes, it was his debut game, and for the club. He's 16, 17. There's so much taken away that now was. I think he's learnt from that. So I see progression in Ralph. I see everything. I love him. We love him. It's just that you hope that the board isn't just trigger happy or because they don't know what they're doing. I'm not the one that hates it on the board too much. I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. I think there's just silly mistakes that have happened through this season that everyone's had to learn from. I think transfer window is bad for everyone. This season is nuts. It's not like anything else. So players are tired. There's so many games. So to really put a microscope over what this season is, I can forgive quite a lot that has happened. This run right now, still a little bit too shaky. We need to shore it up. This pretty much from this game forward, we need to light up and be show what we're about. The FA Cup is obviously a big boost for morale. But in general, I love Ralph. I stare at his picture every night before I go to bed.
Then now's my time to jump in, Jack, is it? Before you go off on one. But no, it's kind of straight. I mean, you bring up the 2 9-0s, and I think they're pivotal moments in any kind of pundit's view of the game, really, in the sense that whenever you have a defeat that bad, ultimately the media throw out plenty of questions that sort of say, will he be gone in the morning? And I have to say, I think on the first one, there were lots of question marks. On the second one, 99% of the fan base were firmly behind Hasenhüttl. And I think it's dwindling a little bit now because of the fact that the run of form, the fact that we haven't won that many games, we haven't picked up that many points in the Premier League in 2021. I think it's 4 points in total, which is absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
So
didn't realize it was that bad.
it's pretty horrendous. So naturally, the fans are sort of starting to think, does he have a plan B, or is this something that he can really contest with? Is he the man for the job? But one thing we can't get away from is it's the best football we've seen at St Mary's since Pochettino or Koeman. Yeah. So in terms of what we're seeing on the pitch, it looks great, and plenty of football pundits have looked at the style of play that Southampton play and go, "This is fantastic. We love to watch this. It's exciting stuff." But it's a bit like what you see at Leeds, where they'll lose heavy, but they'll win good as well. So you can't have it both ways. And we always look back to when we had Claude Puel as a manager, and everyone hated it because it was just mundane, boring, negative football. But we were winning games 1-0, and we finished 8th. And we finished 8th in the league, and everyone was like, fuel out. That's basically what they're doing. Oh, we got a visitor.
I told you it won't take long. It has taken quite a while, to be fair. Can you go see what Mummy's doing? Go see what Mummy's doing. No? Let's say hello then.
Hey, buddy.
That's not Uncle Simon. That's not Uncle Simon. That's not Uncle Simon. We will move on. We've asked a lot of sort of like questions. Yeah, get away. I'll have to sit on my knee for now. You've got a bucket. We're going on an Easter egg hunt, aren't we? We're going on an Easter egg hunt. One thing I do want to ask, obviously, we're going on an Easter egg hunt today, is, are you a little bit worried about relegation at the minute? Because you are obviously on a bad run of form. And obviously, excuse me, tomorrow's a massive game for both teams, really. For both teams, really. And of course, just looking at the Premier League table, it is there on your screen now. There we go, get rid of that so you can see it. If we win, we will obviously go above you with a cushion of 3 points. And then, so you're only, 7-8 points away from relegation. And then if Fulham put a couple of results together and Newcastle, and obviously Brighton have just beaten you as well. So I think it's fair to say you're looking over your shoulders, but we have the exact same points as you, and I am 99% certain that we'll survive. So obviously we're in better form than you, but I just think it's the amount of points that we have. The amount of points that we have will keep us up at the minute.
Yeah,
are you two sort of like looking over your shoulder then?
I would agree with that statement that you made in regards to. I'm pretty confident. Both clubs playing tomorrow are going to survive. I just think the who's down at the moment. I can see Newcastle not picking up a single point until maybe the last couple of games of the season. They got a tough run to do. And we've got games against yourselves, which you would say for both clubs is a winnable game. And we've got games against Fulham, we've got games against West Brom, we've got games against Leeds. So we've got plenty of games there that we should be picking up something from. And I just think, the clubs down there. And I also think Brighton, I didn't really give them enough credit when they beat us because, we had a terrible game, but they had a great game and they tactically beat us very, very well. And the likes of yourself, I mean, I have to say, when I watched you guys play Everton, I didn't know what I was watching. I was like thinking, is this Madrid with Burnley shirts on? Because this was insane.
So when we put that yellow shirt on, we turn into Brazil. So hopefully we're wearing the yellow shirt this weekend.
I've been blown away by it. But it was frustrating in the same way because I watched that game and I thought, this is exactly the same Everton that we played a few weeks ago and we put nothing out against them. And it just... it was great to see you guys, put a good performance and deservedly won that game with some great goals. But it was frustrating on the same side that we had that same Everton side against us and we could have taken all 3 points. And it was there to be won. But jumping back to your original question, I'm like you, 99% confident. And to be honest with you, whoever goes down this season deserves to go down this season. There can be no question marks because the clubs in and around it have had horror shows at some stage of this season. So no complaints there.
How about you? I mean, I've seen a lot of rumours about Sean Dyche exiting to Newcastle to help, to help them with whatever they're doing. How do you feel about that?
Well, hopefully Newcastle go down because he won't be going anywhere if Newcastle go down. The one that worries me, and I've always said this, is Palace because it's a London club. A lot of people will go, it's a big step up. Is Palace? I don't see that at all. Palace have not won anything ever. I think the only thing that's in Palace's favour is a slight increase in attendance, but it's only by about a few thousand. So does that really count? And the fact that they're a London club. London clubs seem to have this aura of being bigger than what they are. Watford are the same. They're another club that have done nothing, but some people see them as like a decent sized club. So Palace worry me. However, with the new owners, I think Sean would want to see what they are going to do. I think he'd want to see if they're going to back him. And if they are going to back him, and if talks are good between the new owners about money being spent in the summer, then I think he'll stay. I can't see him working for Mark Ashley, even if they stay up. I can't see him going there, and it's just such a toxic football club is Newcastle, and they just love a whinge up there. They just love to whinge, even when things are going right. They'll find something to whinge about. They're always on Sky Sports News protesting about something. And you don't want that, do you? You don't want that as a manager. It's too much of a circus. So Palace worries me, but I think he deserves better than Palace. I think he can do better than Palace. Look at what he's done with us. I say this on every single stream, and people who watch me regularly will be getting fed up with me saying this. But I know Twitter is not the best place to gauge public opinion. However, you see some of the stuff that people say. You see some of the stuff that people say on Twitter about Sean Dyche. It's scandalous. It's just like, he's a defensive merchant, won't do anything. He's not done anything. People do these like crappy tier lists, and they'll put Potter like on top and Dyche on bottom. And like, what are you basing that on, other than the fact of expected goals, which is a random stat these days that people seem to love? And I don't get it. Who cares how many expected goals you got? It cares how many goals you got. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
But,
Problem with Twitter is that it's a place for top six fans. Yeah. As is most of social media. That's why it's nice to come and do these channels, because you kind of get not a better opinion, but you get a
you get a better opinion. You're right, Jack.
But you get a rest. You get the other 14 teams' opinion, and those 14 teams you usually get a better opinion than the top six because they're clueless. So I love Sean Dyche. I think he's funny. First of all, love that voice. I can listen to that. I want to start doing audiobooks. That'd be great. But. For what he does with the team, the fact that what did you buy this summer? Was it literally nothing, or was it
just Dale Stevens for £1 million? And he's an absolute scandalous footballer. How he's a footballer is beyond me.
It's and okay, you had that dodgy run at the beginning, but you're gonna survive with.
You turn it around every year. We have a dodgy run every year. Even apart the year we qualified for Europe is the only time we didn't have a dodgy run at the start. We beat Chelsea on the opening day of the season. They're right, they had 2 men sent off, but that's irrelevant. But we beat the champions at the home of the champions on the opening day of the season, and it just snowballed from there. Just win. We had a bit of a dodgy spell after January where we fell off a cliff, but then we played Leicester in like early March, and they were 8th, we were 7th, and we beat them 1-0, and we just went from strength to strength after that. So that's the only time we haven't had a bad start. But whatever he does, like when he has these, because he has like crisis meetings, does Dyche, when we're having a bad run. We had it the season after Europe, we've had one this season, and every time we have one of these crisis meetings, I don't know what he does, but it always works. I reckon he just stands there and stares at them all.
That's
that would frighten the life out of me.
He's so Burnley, though, isn't he? He's almost
you
like...
couldn't imagine it. Imagine him wearing a Palace tie. He always wears his Burnley tie. Imagine him wearing a Palace one. He won't suit him.
He's part of the furniture, really. I mean, I'd be massively surprised that if he would go to Newcastle, because he must know what a nightmare position that must be, if things go slightly bad. And, are you going to get backed, and are you going to get the recruitment that you want if you go to somewhere like that? Because they will spend money here and now, but it will be something like 40 million quid on some ridiculous
Joe Linton, for example.
Exactly. I don't want to say the name out loud, but yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. And the same would go into Palace. Would it really be a progression? Is it more of a sidestep? But the thing that is testament for me on that fact is that you guys started the season and you weren't picking up any points whatsoever, and you're like down there, and it was just horrendous, in terms of the start of the season. But it was never questioned. I don't know if that was, just my opinion on the matter, but I just never felt that the media were ever questioning Sean Dyche's position.
I think the media know as well now that he's not going to get sacked. It'd be scandalous if Burnley sacked him. We were a little bit worried, obviously, when new owners came in, because you don't know what they're going to be like, but they seem like they're level-headed and they've got their heads screwed on. They talk up Sean Dyche all the time. They say Sean Dyche is a big part of our plans. We want him here. So, we're not going to do a Venkis and bring and come in and sack Allardyce like Venkis did at Blackburn 10, 15 years ago, whenever it was, and bring in Steve Keane and get relegated, which was a joy to watch. And now they're losing against Wickham, which is again a joy to watch. But let's we've done a lot of talking. You two are very good talkers, so let's actually, like I said, get on to the game. I wanted to quickly ask you about relegation before that. So let's go on to the game. What sort of game are you expecting? Because you obviously earlier said that that the two style of players kind of tend to nullify each other. That is part of our plan. We hate any style of play really. Yeah. Nullify their style of play and then try and play our own style of play by picking the ball up in midfield, getting out wide, crosses in, Chris Wood, bang, hopefully 1-0, that sort of thing. So, what sort of game are you expecting tomorrow?
I'm kind of expecting if you guys score first, I think we're in big trouble.
Yeah, it's massive in every Burnley game, that the first goal, I'll be honest.
It's just you guys are so good at parking the bus. It's ridiculous. And I think we will struggle, but if we score and it opens the game out a little bit, we've got a chance of, really sort of catching on the counter-attack kind of thing if you're chasing the game as opposed to us chasing the game. So I can see it going either way, but that first goal for me is massive. And I kind of hoping that it is Southampton that gets it, because it will make for a much interesting game of football, if I'm honest. But we shall see. But it could be a tight one, really.
Yeah, absolutely. The football brain. That what's going to happen. It's going to be that not boring. It's going to be tight either way. But at the same time, every part of me thinks Danny Ings is back from injury, and he's playing against Burnley. And he's been in a dip in form. I want him to come and just light it up. The same with Theo Walcott's back. A lot of our attacking players are back. So you would hope it being at home after, every part of me thinks, let's just light this game up. Let's have a big barnstormer. In our predictions, I said a 3-0 to Southampton, just because I want to see that performance out of us. But in reality, Mike's absolutely right. It's probably going to be the most bite your nails. Like, oh my God, like something's got to happen soon. Those ones when you really question live streaming the full match. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Been there several times. Just before we get on to, obviously, you just quickly giving us your prediction as well. Everyone watching in the chat, whether you're watching on Facebook, on YouTube, please get your predictions in. This is probably going to be the last question that I ask the lads. And after we get onto the predictions and things like that, and what sort of lineups I think we'll do, we'll probably wrap the game up. So let me know in the comments what you think your prediction for the game will be tomorrow. A score, if possible, please, not just Burnley win or Southampton win, obviously. But what sort of score do you think it's going to be? I'm going to go for 2-0 Burnley, obviously. And I know everyone's going to back their own team. I don't tend to do that. Honestly, people who watch the show quite a lot will know that I tend to be quite negative. I blame my dad for that. But I just think the way we played against Everton, the way that you've been playing since the turn of the year, if we play like, I put it up on Twitter, and it would just want, like sometimes when you just put a throwaway comment up on Twitter and it ends up getting like 120 likes, and you're like, what? How's that happened? But I put on Twitter when I was watching your Brighton game, and I said, if Southampton play like this against us and we play like we did against Everton, I know football ain't as simple as that, but we will walk that game. I'm going for 2-0 Burnley. I think it'll be a similar performance to the Everton one. Maybe I'm expecting too much there, because obviously I've never seen Burnley play like that for a long time, and now I'm expecting it the week after, 3 weeks after, at the game after. So yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 Burnley. What about you, Mike?
I am going to go firstly, I totally agree with what you just said. If we play like we did against Brighton and you play like you did against Everton, your score prediction will be bang on. But I think with the likes of the experience that's coming back into the squad, and the attacking players that are coming back into the squad, I can see this being a 3-1 win to Southampton.
Fair enough. So what sort of squad are you predicting then? Obviously, Ings is back. Hopefully, Ward-Prowse isn't. What sort of squad are you predicting?
I'm going to go with experience on this one. I think that was one thing that really let us down in the Brighton game. Is the fact that we had Nathan Teller, we had Taki Minamino, and Diallo was on the pitch as well. So there wasn't much Premier League experience in those players, and they were just caught out of position a lot. So I can see Ralph move into more of an experienced lineup. I can see him starting Redmond. I can see him going with Adams and Ings up front. Hopefully Ward-Prowse will be back, because that will be the big factor here, because I think if Ward-Prowse isn't back, then it really puts us in a difficult situation. Will he play another attacking midfielder in that position? I think he'll probably have to, and maybe go for Armstrong and Gineppo. But if Ward-Prowse is back, I can see Armstrong being maybe Theo. Actually, there's been a lot of hype for Theo, so Theo Walcott on the right side of midfield. And our back lineup, as ever, will be Bertrand and the left back with Vestergaard, Bednarek. We had a great game for Poland in the week, and Kyle Walker-Peters. And in goal, Jack was going with Fraser Forster, but I have a weird feeling he's going to go for McCarthy.
No, if he goes for McCarthy, we're going to lose. If McCarthy starts, you're going to score.
It's an area where we need to strengthen. And I saw a question in your stream earlier, said if there was a one player that we would buy off Burnley, who would it be? It'd probably be Nick Pope, just to answer their question.
Yeah,
but,
I think Nick Pope should be England's number one, quite personally.
Yeah, honestly, scandalous this week. How Ian Wright and the top 6 fans could blame Nick Pope for that John Stones mistake is beyond me. Nick Pope's pass was a little bit casual, of course. But he's got the ball, he's got enough time to turn, and then the players are still 10, 15 yards away from him. Scandalous. And Maguire should have dropped back as well, but we won't get into that too much. I was pretty annoyed with the way
Maguire, though, isn't he? It's always going to do that.
Maguire is Maguire. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for coming on, lads. I appreciate you sparing your time. Obviously, with it still being the AM at the time, you said it was both still quite early. Obviously, I'm one of them that has to get up at 7 a.m. with little boy anyway, so it's probably a bit late for me, to be fair. But I appreciate you coming on.
That's been fun. Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah,
no worries.
Good laugh.
And that's a very good comment from James Smith. Tom Eaton's available. He's not getting in the Aston Villa side. He's a very good goalkeeper. And between us lot, I believe he is looking for a move. Well, not looking for a move, but obviously we know that Tom Eaton wants to play football. That's why he left Burnley, because Nick Pope was the new number one. He's gone to Southampton. He's gone to Villa. Martinez has then been brought in. Now Martinez is their number one. So Tom Eaton would be a good shout. Again, you can get Ralph on the blower, give him some tips. We all love Tom at Burnley.
I want
as well.
Martinez, though. I want Martinez. That's the level of people. I want that. I don't want Heaton. I want Martinez. We've already got Heaton. We got Fraser Forster. That's somewhat comparable. I think every Premier League team that's really doing well, I think that investment in a goalkeeper. Yeah,
definitely. That's why we are that's why we finish in Europe that season, because Nick Pope is class. He just comes, he collects crosses, he takes the pressure off the defence. He's a very good shot stopper. Yes, he's not going to do a Rabona out of the defence and dink it all the way up to Brownhill like Pickford might do. But then again, he's not going to drop it into his net like Pickford does as well. So Nick Pope is fantastic. Yeah, and he's got ridiculous.
You call him T-Rex arms, don't you? Was it T-Rex arms?
Yeah. I always wonder how he brushes his teeth. He won't be able to make it.
Yes, his missus to do it.
Yeah. Joey Shilling says, thanks for the stream and the insights, guys. Good luck for the remainder of the season, bar tomorrow, obviously. Yeah, and I'll echo that. Thank you for coming on, lads. Good luck for the season. I think we'll both be in the Premier League next season, and we'll be having this chat again next season. So probably see you, because very good talkers, you two, I think it's fair to say. So we'll see you next season. Fingers crossed. We'll crack on, and thank you for coming on the show. And if you do like what we do, you can still donate stars at any point, any stream. We will be back streaming tomorrow on Facebook and on YouTube for the Burnley Southampton watch along, which I should be on. I believe Simon's available, and Kieran's not available. But I think Johnny Tate and Jared will all be available as well, so we should have a full house. But if not, someone will step in, I'm sure they will. But anyway, thank you guys again. We'll be ready. We'll be there for the watch along tomorrow at around 10 to 12.